Welcome back for week 3 of my spring garden. If you're new here, my name's Jen. I live in Zone 7 and I like to grow a lot in a small space. So subscribe and follow along with my season if you want to see how it's going. Without any further ado, let's hop right into it. I've got my bunching onions here, and if you look at this one, do you see the little thing on top? That's a seed pod. Usually that happens on second year onions, which makes sense because these are here from last year. Also, if you see the little thin stringy things, that's all the new onions I planted from seed. So I'm going to let those ones grow up so I can harvest from those. I'm going to continue harvesting from the old ones, and I'm going to let that one go to seed so I have more for later. The bok choy here is popping up nicely. I do need to come in and thin them out. I only want one in each spot. I might give it another week or two to see which one ends up being the stronger seedling. And then I'll come in and weed out the weaker ones because only the strong can survive here in a dense little packed-in garden. In the back corner, I have some radishes going. Same thing. I'm going to come in about another week or so and weed those ones out as well. I put about 2 or 3 seeds per hole with the idea that I would come in later and thin them out. And then if you see here, when I pinch it and pull it out, you can see the root there is already red where the little radish would start forming. I just think that's pretty neat. Then I have some spinach here. I've already harvested off of this twice. It is a little slow to get going, but it's been doing great. My garlic is doing really well back there for a summer harvest. Now, this broccoli has made it over the winter. If you followed along the last couple weeks, it was a lot smaller. Now it's starting to open up a little bit. So I'm going to come in here and harvest this before it goes to flower because I don't want it to go to flower. I want to be able to actually use it and eat it. I guess I should clarify, you can eat broccoli flowers. I just don't want to. I want to use it like a real piece of broccoli. So this ended up going in my dinner later this night. Then up front here, I have some more radishes. These ones, I got a little crazy. There's about 3, 4, even 5 in some of the holes. I definitely need to come in and thin these ones out. I ended up coming in here and thinning these out after the video. I left most holes with about 1. I did leave a couple with 2 and even 3 because I'm experimenting with clumping planting of the radishes where you can plant a couple in a hole and they'll still form actual radishes. Then over here are more bunching onions. I got some older ones again and then these new little baby ones coming up. Now I'm going to get that side closed off and come into the next section here. My lettuce and cabbages are still doing great. I've been harvesting off the lettuce and it's just growing and coming again. The thyme has really bounced back from the winter. It looked a little dry, but now it's great. This pak choy, I told you guys a while ago, I don't know what this is. I don't think it's pak choy. Somebody said Chinese cabbage. I don't know what it is, but it went to flower. So I'm just going to go ahead and get rid of it. It shouldn't have flowered this soon. I'm not sure what the plan is. And since I like to plant everything so densely and tight together, I want to use this space for something more useful. And since I don't think I'll use that plant, I just had to get it out of there. Now these are shelling peas. They're all starting to sprout up and look good, and they should climb up that little A-frame trellis I have. Then on the sides, I have 3 broccoli on each side. I was going to thin them out, but they seem to be doing well that tight together, so I'm going to leave them there. In this next section here, you saw me plant the romaine lettuce last week. It is doing really well. I left this section. I'm waiting for the weather to warm up to put some peppers there. But the lettuce is doing great. There's some bunching onions around here, and there's garlic around the outside. So I'm happy with that bed. Then this one over here, this Swiss chard, I have been heavily harvesting off of that, and it is just coming and coming. Then I have the red cabbages up front, Brussels sprouts on the corners, and my snap peas here on this trellis. There's nothing in the middle there. I might go ahead and put some of my peppers there, maybe next week. I just want to get in here and show you this Swiss chard. This is why they call it Rainbow Swiss. It is so pretty. There's reds, there's oranges, there's whites, there's yellows, pinks. I feel like this color is not doing it justice. They really are vibrant and pretty. Alright, so that's it for the side garden here. We're going to come over and take a look at my arch. Right now, I don't have any of the big vining things in because it's still too cold, but I have lettuce around the outside. I don't like to waste any space, so until that bigger stuff, it's warm enough and ready to go out there, the lettuce will fill in the edge very nice. And then there's peas up the middle, and then on this side, I have some bok choy. I'm trying to get some of those quick turnover crops in there before I'm putting the larger things like squashes and melons. Then back here, the turnips have finally sprouted up out of the soil. I was getting a little worried. I didn't think they were going to sprout up there, but they did. And then the leeks back there are also fine. Then on this side of the arch, I'm not as happy with this. These are snap peas, the same ones that are in the bed behind me that you just saw, and only one has sprouted up. So I'm not sure if something got under there. There is a big hole. I'm not sure if something got under there and ate stuff or what, but I think I'm going to have to replant those. Now coming up here, taking a look at my strawberries in hanging baskets. They're doing lovely. I will say though, the leaves are a lot smaller on those ones than these ones here inside my greenhouse. I just came in here because I want to show you this. I guess we'll take a look at everything else first. But I have some quinoa here that's starting to go to flower, which is perfect because then we want to get the seeds from it. The fennel's starting to fill out a lot. Then I got a bunch of flowers here. There's also some flowers on this side, and peppers I finally moved outside. But these strawberries, they are a different type of strawberry. Some weeds I gotta get rid of. But their leaves are like, I don't know, 4 times bigger than the other leaves. So I'm not sure if it's the way they overwintered in the greenhouse. There's some more weeds I gotta get rid of there. But I'm not sure if it's the way they overwintered or just the variety of strawberry it is. So I think what I'm going to do is take one of the hanging basket ones, plant them in the ground here, label them of course, and figure out if it was the conditions or the variety of strawberry that caused the big difference. Now moving on to some of the outdoor stuff. I got to clean up this section of the garden, but I did pot up some of these bulbs in this planter here. So I'm leaving this here as a reminder for myself when stuff starts growing of what I put in here. So hopefully that'll grow up and look pretty. And then I also put more of those bulbs around this one. This has some dianthus and some pansies in it. And then as a reminder to myself, because I don't label anything out here in this garden, this is more like a chaos flower garden, but I put some here in front of my daffodils. Then I just wanted to take a minute and show you this. This is a Linton rose. Look how gorgeous this thing is. It's one of the first flowers to really start flowering when it's cold in the spring. And I just can't get over the color and how pretty it is. Alright, moving back to my vegetable garden, I decided I wanted to go ahead and harvest some of the green onions for dinner tonight. So I'm just going to come in here and chop a bunch of them off. And I'll take them inside with my broccoli and I'm going to use that with dinner. These green onions or bunching onions are so simple. All you got to do is just keep cutting them and they keep coming back. So I'm going to take those inside with my wimpy little broccoli here and close up the garden for the day. When I was making dinner, I realized I needed a bag of spinach for my recipe, and I didn't have a bag of spinach, but I did have these really pretty Swiss chard. So I ended up harvesting a bowl of the Swiss chard, and then I came over here and harvested as many of these little leaves of spinach that I could. You still want to leave, they say about a third of the plant so that it will keep growing, but I kind of came in here and really took some leaves off these little guys. So I have my bowl of Swiss chard and my handful of spinach, and I'll show you what I did with that. I saw this viral pasta dish where it was feta, olive oil, and tomatoes, and then you add a bag of spinach, or in my case, I added my garden stuff. You bake it for 20 minutes, which I actually ended up baking it for about 40, and then you add pasta to it. It was delicious. Now with magical YouTube editing, I'm taking you to the day before. I had about an hour of free time the other day to work on this, and my goal was to get this dirt put in the rest of the garden bed, to get soil acidifier put on my blueberries, slug stuff around my strawberries, and plant these bulbs. I did not get to all of that in an hour. I also had all the stuff I weeded out of my flower beds just laying in my yard because I ran out of garden bags, and I don't compost yet. I know, I need to work on it. I'm trying. But I had to pick all that up, so I had to do that first. That took me like, I don't know, maybe 10 or 15 minutes. Luckily, you only get 10 or 15 seconds of it. After that was all said and done, I did go over here to my blueberries, and I weeded out the stuff around it. This one needed replanted because what was left over from last year was this tiny stick that never grew. So I got this one to put in its place. And then I amended all of the blueberry soil with soil acidifier. Blueberries can grow in containers really well because you can control their soil, and they really like acidic soil, like a pH of like between 4 and 5.5 or 6. They like that to thrive. So I found that out the hard way by not having much luck the first year or two, and now that I've been adding this soil acidifier to my blueberries, they have been doing really well. So all you have to do is just dig a little bit and then add the soil acidifier and kind of like mix it in. I've tried just putting it on top of the soil, but it ends up just getting cakey and staying there. You really want to mix it in just a little bit. And it does take a while for this stuff to dissolve because you can kind of see there's a little bit of old stuff in there. That was from the fall when I did it. I usually do it maybe 2 times a year if I remember. Then I took this other blueberry out of its container, dug a little hole in my pot, and I plopped it in there. I try to leave the tags on my blueberries at least until I start to remember which ones they are, even though it doesn't really matter. When they start blooming and they start fruiting, I pick them and it doesn't really matter. I just want to know which ones do well, so in the future if I want to add more, I know which ones do best in my area. Then I topped off this pot with some more garden dirt. It's a mixture of, I think, some Miracle-Gro and some Star Green, just like raised bed garden soil. And some of the stuff that was just left over in my greenhouse. I always end up adding that to stuff to try to keep the soil moving around and mixed up well. So I patted that down. Then I weeded everything that was underneath that area and I mulched. And this is the final product of what this area ended up looking like. So I've got my blueberry plant here. I got a little flower box there in the middle and a blueberry plant on the right. In my flower box, I have dianthus, and then I have a wave pansy that I meant to use in a hanging basket, but I thought it might fill in here well. I grew that from seed, and I added some of those bulbs into that section. So now I'm going to repeat the whole process over here, except for planting the blueberries because I already have live blueberries. Just cleaned everything up, got everything backfilled, soil acidified, and mulched. This ended up taking up my entire hour that I had, so I did not get to this section over here, but we'll get to that this coming weekend. Here was the final product. I got my 4 blueberry bushes and my 2 flower boxes with some nice new mulch. Thanks for watching, and come back next week to see what happened this week in the garden.